Hey, everybody, welcome to the Mindfully Resilient podcast. And I'm here with a very special guest. Today, joining me on the show is the one and only Stephanie Weichert. Hey, Stephanie, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Why? Because you're with me today on the show. And I think some of the listeners already know, like I've shared stories of how you helped me on my journey, but how it came to be was really interesting. And I don't think I heard your name through Ken back in 2013 when I first met him in person. And you were at I think you were at your first conference. Am I right? The CanFit Pro conference?
Was it back in 2013? That sounds about right.
Yeah, wow, 7 years ago. I didn't have an opportunity to catch your session, but I made sure to follow you and connect with you through Ken. And then I never really worked with a life coach before. And my old boss back at my old job, not the one that we know of that's written in your book, everything I would have said, but the one before that, where my boss was suggesting to meet up with his wife, who is working to be a life coach as well, but I didn't grasp the concept. And then with further research, I started understanding it better. And throughout my journey as a coach, it happened. It's like, oh, this is what life coaching is, and this is how it can help. So when the opportunity came to be, what is it, 2016? Did you start writing the book?
I think I did start writing it in 2016. Yep.
Yeah. So, and that's when we first, and Ken asked me if I would be interested in working with you as part of the book. And it was an easy answer. It was just, yes. I didn't think about it. It was easy. And I'm glad I did, because even though I didn't feel it right away at the time, all the lessons started building up slowly. It kind of like marinated in my mind over time. And all the lessons you taught me throughout the book, and a few of them that you mentioned in here, plus others, have stuck with me. And there's one actually that I brought up at Project, was that a Project Hope? Yeah, Project Hope, where the story you asked me, and I shared this as part of my lesson, as one of my lessons, is when someone attacks you and you feel that you have an attack on your values, you have to check in with your values, see have they changed. And you asked me that. When someone made me feel horrible for 4 days, I was in a depression because he made me feel like I did something wrong. You asked me in one of our calls, do you feel your values are intact? Have they changed? I said, no. And you pretty much said, I don't remember what word for word, but you said, okay, you can move on now. You can go ahead. There's nothing to worry about. And am I off base a little bit here with that one?
No, that sounds amazing. I don't remember that exact word for word conversation, but I'm interested in, like, what did that bring up for you? So if it was about your values and kind of taking a new look at it, a different look at your values, what did that do for you?
I didn't think of it much at the time, but at that moment, I felt like I had more power, a little more control and over my emotions. And over time, as I sought more coaching and read more books, listened to more podcasts, and connected with more people, creating my choir, so to speak, I was able to understand that better. And then realize, oh yeah, I have my values include, never mind being creative, but also I value honesty and friendship and relationships. And, to do that for somebody, okay, made a smile. You know what? I did something. I offered a gift to somebody where in a situation, my boss didn't see it as appropriate, which was, it was innocent. Everybody saw it as innocent, but nobody could figure out why. But it didn't affect me. I still give. I still want to foster relationships. I still want to make people feel welcome.
Yes, definitely. And you do, definitely.
So that's the story, and then from there, it just snowballed. It just started growing to great things. And now, in the book, I'm in a couple of chapters, and I let the secret out. I let the secret out because I want people who talk to me to also be inspired. They know who it is, and they say, "Oh yeah, we read your story," and I want them to know that I'm open to share whatever happened. And that's what I did in the Project Hope series. Now, with this, now the first question I usually ask everybody, who is Stephanie Weichert beyond the business card?
So that's a great question. And, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. It's an honor. And it's been a pleasure to work with you, both as a life coach and just getting to know you personally. So, so before I answer your question, I just wanted to say thank you so much. And we appreciate you and value you so much.
Well, thank you as well. Like, the feeling is mutual. I'm grateful for you guys, your friendship and your leadership in my life.
Thank you. All right. To answer the question. So I feel like I'm continually, working through that question. I am a spouse, a mom of two amazing kids. One is 10. The other is 2.5. 2.5 years of loveliness. She's in the middle of the wonderful twos. And the joke I tried to make is that I'm on a continual quest to make a better smoothie and healthy banana bread. I guess it's not really a joke, but never mind that.
Well, better smoothie. I mean, it sounds like a perfect breakfast. But better smoothie. What do you usually put in a smoothie?
So my smoothie is bananas, strawberries, a milk alternative, a little bit of vanilla, vital protein, collagen mix, and L-glutamine. And stevia to make it sweet.
And you want to make it better? That sounds good as it is right there.
It tastes so great. Luckily, we have a good hearty blender that can handle the load, because it's after you're making a smoothie for more than one person, that thing, you can tax even a Vitamix. It's crazy.
We got a Vitamix and it's easy. And, even Abby, she starts making her own smoothie. She started making her own smoothies.
Oh, cool. Oh, the strawberries are frozen, by the way, so no ice or anything like that.
Yeah, no, and it's great too, because you put a lot more nutrients, well, whatever it is, frozen in, rather than just putting water. Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I recommend a little bit of, I usually put honey in my smoothies as well, and some blueberries and banana.
That sounds great. I love blueberries.
Okay, well, I'm going to go now and make myself a smoothie.
Later. Nice talking to you.
Yeah, a great episode. No, but that sounds that sounds great. But so beyond that, let's go deeper with that. And this is interesting as well. Your why, your purpose, because we have labels. We call ourselves a coach, a mother, a sister, brother, cousin, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, who are we truly deep down?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. Who are you is a question that I help a lot of people with, because they're looking to find their next thing. And when you're trying to find what you want to do next, sometimes you'll take a deep dive perspective into who are you? What are your strengths? Like, what are your failures? What is everything that makes you, you? And so, for me and my why or my purpose, I really think I've been on a quest to answer that question for a really long time. And I know it's always been to help others. We've done different, charitable acts and different things. And, but the big question, that satisfying place of, because it's not just why, but do I feel satisfied in what I'm doing, like on a personal level? And I can honestly tell you that I finally do. I love what I do. And so for me, it's always been to help other people. And now I realize that the very thing that I struggled the most with is the thing that I can help other people with. And I absolutely delight in doing it. I just talked to somebody earlier. I get to work with people of all ages and spectrums of what they're doing. It's absolutely stunning when people get to connect into their why, their purpose, because I do believe, Josef, that changes. So it's not like you can hook into it and that's going to work for you forever. It's going to change at different seasons of your life. And I think that's the interesting thing. It's not something where you find it and then it's one and done. It's something that you have to continually move towards. And so I do feel like I'm finally on a good path now of helping other people find their why. And I help, like I said, my clients with this very question, this multifaceted question, to help them find theirs too.
Oh, that's awesome. I agree with you. I mean, you once you write down your why, it's like a mission statement as well. I mean, it doesn't, it's, how would I say, it grows with you. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, my personal purpose, when I was 18, was not the same. It's not the same as it is now. I mean, I didn't have kids. I didn't work as a personal trainer or a fitness coach. So obviously that adapts and you kind of figure it out and builds on from there. No, I totally agree with that. Was it like an aha moment? Like, what? It's like, woo, I figured it out.
No, completely not. I feel like I bumbled into it. I backed into it. And the funny thing about finding purpose is I think people find the purpose out of looking backwards in their life. A lot of times they don't realize that everything that they've done up to a point has a little nugget that they can carry with them to what they're doing in the next phase or the next thing. But they don't realize if they could look at their life kind of like a mountaintop, if you could like imagine a mountaintop perspective and see it all before you, you would realize that it all works really together. And so for me personally, I think I found my why through a series of frustrating life events that really led from one thing to the next. And I kind of backed into it.
Oh, so it just happened.
It just
Wow.
happened.
Well, it does, sometimes the greatest things happen like just like that. You don't realize it. And it's like, oh, wow. Okay. That's a happy surprise.
Yeah. Have
And
you ever just done something and you like, I don't know, for you, maybe you have, and maybe this would be a good time to tell the whole world that you have done this, but wouldn't you say like the vast majority of the awesome things, like you grow into those things? It didn't just like start out like that.
no, it's it. Well, it was baby steps.
Baby
It,
steps.
it was a small steps, wink, wink, for later on in the conversation. It was small steps. I found like if I look back, and everybody, for those of you listening, I mean, where you are today is a sum of all experiences, all events in your life, good and not so good.
Yeah.
And that's how I closed off my first speech, my first keynote at Project Hope and it's true. Who I am today, I wouldn't be who I am today if it weren't for a series of events. If I hadn't met my wife, Suzanne, if I hadn't moved to Toronto from Montreal, if other events in my life hadn't happened, the layoff, other even personal family events, like in 2 years, there was something that really personal that happened where I wasn't on speaking terms with someone close in my family for 2 years. But during those 2 years, I sought to grow within just to grow myself, to become a better person. How can I be better than yesterday? How can I be a better father? How can I be a better husband, friend, coach? And and then when we started talking again after those 2 years, they noticed the change and they were happy about that change. And so it's true. Think about it. Wherever you are today, hey, if wherever you were when, in a certain event, like if you weren't that, I mean, I don't know if I could share this, but when you met Ken, if you hadn't been there that day, would you be where you are today? Do you think that?
Do you want to hear a story? I didn't plan on telling you the story, but can I tell you a story?
Yes, go for it.
I was a swimmer, swimming 3 miles a day, and I would swim rain or shine unless it was thundering and lightning. Like I was there even when it was just me and the coach. I was out there. Fully committed. It was like everything for me. So I was working at Travelocity downtown San Francisco and swimming, and that's what I did. And during the course of swimming, it aggravated an old water polo injury, and the tendonitis and the injury in one of my shoulders, I can't even remember which one, was so bad. I could not pick my arm up to bring it overhead. It hurt really intensely. Like it would be so bad that I couldn't even let my arms hang. I had to put them in my pocket. So I realized if I wanted to use my arms until I was late into my 90s, maybe 100s, I was going to have to stop doing this thing that I love doing. And so I was so upset with it, and I was so disappointed. I was like, my body is like breaking down on what's wrong with me, and I hate this. And I thought I had my own personal pity party. And so what I did was I thought, what is the one thing that I can do? I literally thought this. It's embarrassing to tell you this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. And everybody listening, I'm sure you've never had a pity party for yourself, so it's just me.
We've all had one.
What is the one thing that I could do to have a fully good pity party? Be in it. And so I thought, I'm going to go to the gym that I don't want to go to, and I'm going to by all means, I have learned that step class is one of the most hardest classes that I've ever been in. But I always thought, well, I used to make fun of it because it just seems, like, I don't know, that's what people did if they wanted to just dance. So I was like, I'm going to go to step class at the gym. That's what I'm going to do. So I got off work that day, headed there, and I walk in, and what I realized was, after I set the whole thing up, is that I am not coordinated like that. And that if I would have killed me to stay in the class, and I probably would have just, I don't know, my legs would have just tied together or something, and I would have never made it out. But what I realized was it's a really challenging class, and I laughed at myself, and I thought, you've been making fun of this, and it's really hard, like the joke's on you. And I walked out, and there was this man in the gym, and he was wearing fatigues. I was like, he is the most beautiful man I've ever seen in San Francisco. I need to go talk to this guy. And he was so serious, like he'd never smiled, and and I was like, I don't know, like there's something compelling about him. So it was like I was just being drawn in. So I go over there, and I just asked the most ridiculous question ever. I said, so how do you use, or I think something like this, a law degree, or how can I get a law degree and use it in like the FBI? I don't know why this came up. It's not like I really was going to do that. I think somewhere in the recesses of my mind, this farm girl, because I'm from a farming community, wanted to do something really cool. And I thought maybe that was it. And he said, are you smart? And I said, nobody's ever had to ask me that question before. And so the conversation went from there, and I wound up asking him if I could write him a marketing plan. It was my first one out of college, and it was profoundly bad. I could totally write that and do it better within 2 hours. It took me 30 days back and forth. I would write that train from Travelocity, because it took me like 30, 45 minutes on the train to get from my house that I shared with a whole bunch of people to get to work. And I finally was ready to present it. And then we went on our first date. Had I not had that experience, I would have never met my husband. And just like for you, you said you had some of those negative experiences. You would have never chosen them for yourself. But didn't they wind up beautiful on the other side?
Yeah, thank you for sharing that story. I love it. And it's just, I could just picture it right now in the step class. Oh, it's beautiful. That should be your next book.
Oh, how to become humble. That would be the title. Go take a step class, go do something that you made fun of, because it will humble you and you'll become a more humble person. Yes. The
benefits of a pity party. Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that story. But yeah, no, it's true. It's just, sometimes we face a storm. How Ken puts it, when we face a storm, but it's how we respond to it. It's storms are inevitable. Suffering is optional.
I think I've heard that one before.
Yeah, me too.
That's good.
I'm quoting somebody.
I have no idea where I heard that one. But yes.
His name is Ken. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, no, that's great. And so for those of you listening as well, I mean, if you feel like you're stuck, actually embrace the stuck, embrace it and take control and see what you can do with that to grow. I mean, we've all had a layoff recently with COVID-19. A lot of people have been laid off, unfortunately, and have had to pivot. You know, they got that stuck feeling, but they pushed through it. They held on with like a firm grip on the helm, and they navigated through that storm. And you see where you are today. A lot of coaches right now getting uncomfortable going live on Instagram, more on Zoom, whatever it is, and or even doing keynote addresses. I know some people who have done keynote addresses for the first time in front of 50, 60 people.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I know. And I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about other people, but it's still, you know, yeah, no, I agree. It's and you're creating a new journey. You're making not a new journey, but it's becoming clearer. You're moving forward, and it's more apparent that you're moving forward. Now, speaking of journeys.
Wait, can I ask you one thing? One thing about that, Joseph, I wanted to add is a lot of people in that stuck place wind up going in and doing a little self-discovery before they go out into the world. And a lot of time the end goal is to go out in the world and do that thing first, but they start with that inward journey and self-discovery. And so I wanted to say that was a great point, and I'm so glad you brought that up, because it is really valuable to have that and to give some space for that inward journey. In fact, that's what most of my coaching clients do when they're looking for their next thing, is it starts with them first and then moves out from there.
So it's really tapping into, how would I say, quote unquote, the whispers of the heart, and just listening to those voices, and and understanding who you are in a time like COVID-19, a pandemic, whatever storm it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
And who do you want to be, right?
Yeah, who do you want to be, and how can you be better than yesterday? Yeah. Like, where was it that we don't rather than wishing for things to go back to normal, how can we make things better tomorrow?
And how can we operate in the normal that we find ourselves in the best possible way? And I think, do you mind if I take a little bit of a tangent here?
Please. Like I mentioned before, this is a conversation, so pretend we're having coffee.
Okay, cool. I should have brought tea. So, I do feel like what happens in that place is people look to their feelings to guide what they do. And they feel stuck, or they feel numb, or they feel depressed, or they feel anxious, and they think that is that's as far as they can see is at the end of that thing. And so I would say to the person who might be feeling that and is asking, what do I do next if I'm at the edge of my feelings? I would say this. Find a place of peace and a quiet. Return to stillness every single day. Because once you do that, it'll rebuild your sense of self. It'll give you a good place to launch from when you do want to go and find your next thing. Don't worry if you don't have it all figured out, and definitely don't worry if you feel stuck in the feelings right now. It's okay.
Yeah, it's about being like you pretty much described mindfulness, just taking the time to pause and think about, just work with your emotions, build that relationship. At times in the past in the past few months, I'm going to be honest and open here, where I would go to bed. I'd be getting ready for bed, brushing my teeth, but I would do it with a feeling inside my heart where asking myself, am I doing enough? Am I good enough? And I know I know deep down that I have impacted people. I am impacting people. Based on certain comments, the feedback. But but then I realize, I take a moment to pause and understand, where are these feelings coming from? Where are these thoughts coming from? And I realize, oh yeah, it's 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. Best to go to bed right now before things get worse. And I think a lot of times, it doesn't have to be because I'm tired, but yeah, for me, in that case, I am tired. I know myself, and I'll start going into a downward spiral. So the moment I say, okay, I stop it right there, just go to bed. I tell myself, go to bed. And I say it out loud. People think I'm crazy. Well, Susie, Susie thinks I'm crazy. She already knew that marrying me, but I tell myself out loud, okay, I'm just tired. It's
Yeah.
going to be good tomorrow. And, it's hard. And a lot of people see coaches look at us, when we give them guidance, they're like, oh, it's easy for you. No, it's not. As a fitness coach as well. No, it's not easy doing an exercise. It's just, we understand that it has to be done. It's a discipline that must be followed. It's work. It's a lot of hard work. And we know when we put effort into something, we create something amazing.
Yes, yes. And what I do hear you saying too is giving yourself grace and recognizing when you're completely wore out.
Mm-hmm. That's it. And that, by taking that pause, and I think it's that moment of pause and reflecting where
Mm-hmm.
we're able to understand, okay, and that's the whole point of mindfulness. Mindfulness is not just meditation. It's just, okay, just being in tune with your thoughts, understanding them, building that relationship, and say, okay, you came to visit, thought? Okay, hang around for a little bit, or you can leave now. Or it just, the bar is over there, go hang out there. It just, that's how you see it. That's how, that's how you have to see it. They're like passing cars on a freeway.
Exactly. And I feel like somebody listening needs to hear that. It is a passing car on your freeway. It did not come to stay. It came to pass.
Unless you live in Los Angeles, then that car is not moving far.
But even still, if you give it a little time, it'll pass too.
It'll pass too. Just give it time, a
Yeah,
couple of hours. But so speaking of journey and coaching,
uh-huh.
okay, how did your journey into coaching begin? Because you weren't always a life coach.
No, you know what? I started, I guess I'm about to tell you another story. Are you comfortable with that?
We love stories. I think everybody listening right now loves stories. And I'm sure when they're listening right now, they're smiling. Like, yeah. We want another story.
Okay, cool. So what happened was my husband's name is Ken. He kept asking me to do speeches. And I thought, okay, yeah. So I would sit and work on these speeches for just hours. The research and the getting everything right and making it look right. I mean, just hours and hours, like 30, 40 hours building, maybe longer. And I really wanted to craft the presentation the right way. And so I would go and I would feel great about it because the information was good. But what I realized was I didn't get that feedback. I got some feedback. People would come up to me, they would ask questions, but what I was really looking for was the connection later, email or whatever it was, of that thought, that idea that you presented helped to change my life. And I realized I wasn't getting that. And so I thought, there's something that I don't know that I need to know that I'm missing. And so, and I kind of rested on this place of there's an information gap that I need to fill. So one day when I went to the gym, I was just there for a personal workout. The only reason I became a personal trainer was to help my husband in his business when he went to war. So I became certified for him and for that, which wound up being for us, but it was my gift to him. And I go to the gym. There's this woman on the machine and she's doing forward flexion. She's got her hands, and every time she would come forward, she would come back and boom, the machine would hit and it would be really, really loud. And she was elderly, and it was really, it was hard for me to just sit and watch her and listen to it because I've worked with so many different people. So I walked up to her and I thought, what if I just offered her a little feedback? Could I do that? So I said, hi, my name is Stephanie. I'm certified, but I don't work here. I'm just here for a workout. Can I give you some, some tips? And she said, sure. And so I showed her, we just lightened the load a little. We slowed it down, that kind of thing. It was really simple stuff you could do all day long. And her husband comes storming up to me, and I mean, like stomping. And he comes up to me and he says, who are you? And what are the credentials behind your name to work with my wife? And that's kind of off-putting. I mean, it's just off-putting no matter who you are. But I didn't feel defensive when he asked me that question. I felt curious more than anything. And I thought, well, he doesn't want to know that I have a bachelor's degree. That's cool. He wants to, oh, certified personal trainer. Yep. So I am Stephanie Weichert, certified personal trainer. And he said, oh, well, you have more credentials than I do. And then he went on to tell me a long story. And when I got in the car that day, what I realized was that question: what are the credentials behind my name to help other people make a difference, make a change in their life? And so that became the driving force and the driving question. So when I got home, I literally sat right back by the coffee table and had myself a coffee table moment, as my mom and I like to put it. When she was changing jobs, that's where she also had a coffee table moment of this revelation that she needed to do something different. So I had my coffee table moment, and I asked my husband, I think I want to do like a life coaching certificate or certification. I don't even know anything about it. Joseph, I didn't even know what a life coach did at all. And at all. Like at all. Did we catch that? Good. So I signed up. He said, well, why don't you look into Valerie Burton's program? I worked with her at University of Pennsylvania at the military's positive psychology course. And so fine, I did. I looked her up and I said, Ken, there is a program coming up in a month. Can I go to it? And he said, yes. So we literally, all three of us, we only had one child at that point, got in the car. A month later, we went to Atlanta and we spent the weekend, and all of us, and I got my first certificate in life coaching. And then from there, I wound up doing their full 60-hour, I finished the 60-hour course, mentor training. And I thought, well, okay, now I'm at least certified. I think I need to become credentialed through the International Coaching Federation. So I took that step. And then I took a couple of more steps. So I would have some, just some good presentation topics. So it wasn't just me crafting these things, but it was other people's good ideas too. And I did Tony Robbins' strategic intervention course. And when I think the last piece of that for me was when I got on I was in an airport rather. I saw the Gifts of Imperfection by Dr. Brene Brown, picked it up. And I thought that is the missing piece for me personally. And I feel like that's the missing piece for others, to live a wholehearted, courageous, authentic life. And so I looked into their certification program. I did the mentoring that was necessary. And then when we wound up closing our studio in San Francisco to focus on training other coaches, I thought I need to do one more thing. There's this thing I have in my head. I want to go back to school and do the MBA program that I've always wanted to do. So I did the executive program. And then after that, I thought, okay, now I'm done. Now I'm going to work on my book. And so did my coaching start back then, when I first started, or did my coaching really begin after that? I don't know. I just know that was really my journey into coaching.
Well, your coaching, I think, from your story, and by the way, I'm going to say something, that story where you had to interject or kind of offer your services to that lady who needed help with that machine.
Yeah.
I understand you 110%. I know the feeling, and I do it all the time. And I'm always scared, if someone's going to come after me. Yeah. I always introduce myself and, hey, can I help you out? Because I was watching you do a deadlift and my back was hurting.
Oh yeah, just watching. Oh, it's so bad.
I was like, oh my gosh. I'm a perfectionist, to a certain point. But there's something, but I'll let things slide when it comes to my own training, with my clients.
Yeah.
But there's some things where I will not let pass. For example, the deadlift, the hip hinge. I see the cat back.
Oh gosh.
Cat
yeah,
stretch.
it's scary. You look at people and you're like, oh, and you're adding load. Oh my gosh, you're gonna hurt yourself.
So who are you following on Instagram? Okay. What did you see?
Even if they're following somebody, are you actually looking at good form? Have you translated what you're looking at to your own personal awareness of your body? That's another thing, right?
That's another thing. But just to get to the point is that you've been coaching from what I see, or from what I understand, is that you've been coaching no matter, even before the certifications, before the ICF, before Valerie Burton with with the University of Pennsylvania, School of Positive Psychology. You were guiding people as a fitness trainer, as a personal trainer. You're guiding people, and that's the role of a coach, is to guide people, give them the tools, teach them the tools, so they can go on their own and do it safely, right? Or doing, well, in their case, the person working out with equipment, do it safely. But as a coach, as a life coach, mindset coach, success coach, whatever, or transformation coach, you're giving tools to people for them to be empowered to make a difference in their lives, their own lives.
Okay, so then I've been coaching since 2003.
Okay, well, we'll go with that. And
wait. I think I taught my first water aerobics class in 2002. So maybe you get to hear, that's my daughter in the background. That is the lovely thing when you do podcasts from home. The entire family gets to be involved, whether or not you wanted that to happen.
Hey, it creates an animated background. It's fine.
Okay, great. So maybe even 2002. Of course, I was 12 when I was doing that.
12? Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay. I thought it was you started at 8, but it's okay.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Sure. No, excellent. But that's it. And it's a great journey, and how it just, and once again, here it is, these little steps, these small steps forward to where you are today. And it's coming back to that. And when it comes to coaching, and I know a lot of coaches have different styles of coaching. There are some, like, we have the intervention coaches like Tony Robbins, strategic intervention, where, and for those of you, I highly recommend you watch I Am Not Your Guru on Netflix right now with Tony. It's about Tony Robbins' Date with Destiny event.
Oh, wow.
And it is, let me tell you, I didn't know Tony Robbins coached like that. I was taken aback. Everything's it's uncensored. But he has that style where it shocks you. And that's where it gets your attention.
It does.
So it's one style. Then you have the other style where it's more compassionate, more care, more loving. But then you also have the compassionate, the caring style, but there's more of a firmness, like being a parent trying to guide you, or like a teacher, right? Like a teacher, like some teachers are caring, but when you're in class, you gotta stay straight, stay in line. You got to listen. They're serious. There's that kind of coaching too. I mean, I know there are different levels of coaching, but how have your experiences in life, and I know you have a few that, like a lot of life-changing events and a lot of crazy things happen. How have those events impacted your style of coaching?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I feel like, my style of coaching has changed. So when I first became a personal coach, I wanted to be Ken, to be honest. And then if I couldn't be Ken, I wanted to be Tony Robbins. And it just really, honestly, it just didn't work for my personality. And but I wished it would have back then. I just wanted to be them. And as a side note for people listening, be you. Do you. People benefit the most when you're authentic to who you are and not trying to be somebody else. So, for me, let's see, did the event shape it? I think maybe in thinking about, I didn't send you any of these notes, but in thinking about some of the speeches, when I got some feedback from them, and I was back then really trying to pursue the strategic intervention and Tony Robbins style, and I loved all of the different things he was talking about, except it wasn't authentic. And I did get some feedback that was really hard to hear from somebody, and she said to me, I don't remember exactly what she said but it was more along the lines of, if it's going to be Tony Robbins, then you need to do this, this, and this. And I thought, oh, no, that's not my goal. That's not who I'm trying to be. I was trying to be him, and thank you for calling me out on that in my head. That's kind of the dialogue that ensued from that comment. And I began to think, what is my style. If it's not this, then who am I? Remember, I talked about that inward journey first.
Mhm.
So I took the inward journey of going through the Daring Way program, and it helped me find my authentic voice. Maybe it's a little quieter. Sometimes it is a little bit of a teacher. I do try to keep that to a minimum. But I'd like to kindly bring out other people's best. Does that make sense?
No, it does perfectly. It makes perfect sense. That made, like, I understand it. I mean, when you and I were, when we were working together, I remember you know, you still had that guidance. You still, you know, you're kind, and but you still kind of, you caught me when there were some moments where I felt like I was thinking I was being wholehearted, but you caught me in those moments where you're like, Joseph, you need open up a little bit more. You know that's not it. Um, so you caught me on my quote unquote BS sometimes.
Yeah.
It's so,
I'm sorry, Joseph. I hope you forgive me.
no, but you know, that's the whole point, because I think in life, when we don't want to admit something that has happened, or, you know, we're going through life, we're coasting or traveling, but there's some things we put blinders on, and
Yes.
we don't want to admit it because, for example, like perfect examples, we're driving down the road and we honk at somebody.
Hmm.
Was it because we honked? Because what was the true reason we honked at somebody? It was because we got scared. We got scared. But a lot of people, instead of saying, "Oh, I got scared," you deflect the rage on somebody else, and you don't want to admit to your ego that, no, I was honestly scared. It's not him. It's not his fault. I was scared, and that's why I'm reacting in this way. Um, so no, you're like, that's it. And I agree with you in your terms of your style and just the way you coach. And and that's why I recommend, when everybody's looking for a life coach, I'm always pointing your direction, because, but it worked for, it worked for me. Working with you worked for me, you know? And so yeah, that's like, you keep on going. So everybody, it makes sense what you just said as well. So I'm going to slowly go into a topic
Uh-huh.
about a certain book.
Uh-oh, here we go.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. We worked our way up the roller coaster. We're at the summit now. We're about to go down, go for the ride. Everything I would have said. Your first published book.
My first book. Woohoo!
Congratulations.
Thank.
Congratulations. And I think I forgot, I checked on Amazon Canada lately, and a lot of good reviews on there. And I went nuts. I purchased a bunch of things recently on Amazon so I could be eligible to leave reviews. So I went on and left a review on Amazon Canada for your book.
Thank you. That means so much. Thank you so much.
Oh, of course. Oh, it's my pleasure. The least I can do. And so, so everything I would have said, survival strategies for getting through tough times. And for the listeners of the Mindfully Resilient podcast, you all know that I covered chapter 4, finding the third option, which the title, if you're looking for that episode and you missed it, just look for the episode, Finding the Third Option. And why I brought up that chapter is because, as we mentioned earlier in this conversation, I was honored to have the opportunity to work with Stephanie as my working in coaching sessions, but with the end game of our coaching sessions to be in the book.
That's right.
So some of them, and it's not just my story. There are a lot of other stories too, and there are a lot of other people. And what I liked about this book, what I enjoyed about it, my chapters, I'm not just my chapters, but the other chapters, that it reminds you of that you're not alone. You're not alone. What people are going through right now, like what you're going through, other people are going through probably the same thing or a different version of it. You know, we have someone who was closing up their studio, or, you know, and so, or divorce or whatever it is. And people, there's always like a little bit, there's always a little bit of a story that someone can, how would I say it, understand or relate to.
Mm-hmm.
So So yeah, if you read the book, I am Jacob. I'm coming clean. I have come clean already, but I am Jacob in the book. Talk about finding the third option. Now, before we go into detail, like now I wanted to talk about chapter 9. That was a future episode, but we figured you and I talked before this show and you brought up the idea, why don't we talk about chapter 9 together? And I'm like,
Yes,
I thought,
please do that.
yeah, I was like, okay, I thought about it. But first, the book. What motivated you? What drove you to write the book?
So, a number of things. I think a book is like a passion project. Unless you have a massive following, a book is a passion project.
Yeah.
That most of us do. So for me, I had different coaching experiences that, like I had this one guy who showed up to the program for the Tennessee Army National Guard that I did with my husband. It was his program. I was just a speaker. And I didn't know that he was, he might possibly commit suicide. Nobody told me that. I just knew that this was a suicide prevention program. Not really, I don't know that I realized the gravity that there could be one person that was ready to end their life. And he had come to the program and he thought, because I asked him this later, if it didn't work, the program work, that he would choose to end his life. And that's a pretty heavy thing. I'm glad I didn't know. But after going through the program, it was exactly what he needed, and he's still thriving. So there was that experience, and there were other experiences that really affected me on a profound and deep level. But the one thing that sort of, they were more like, gosh, I should write the book. But when I got a Facebook message from this woman, and she said, did my son reach out to you before he committed suicide? And I thought, oh, I've seen some posts, and I wondered what was going on with him. It was somebody that I had worked with, years ago. And I thought, no, he didn't reach out to me. And I did tell her he didn't reach out to me. But if he would have, what would I have said to him? And it became a process and a discovery of what would I have said to him had he initiated contact. And thus the name, Everything I Would Have Said, because would it really truly be everything I would have said to him? Probably not. But it would be something to get something to get it started. So I did a number of coaching sessions. I worked with people like you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I was looking for, no, thank you. I was looking for themes and trends that would arise, problems that not just you are having, but like that a lot of people are having. And so, and as I began to work with more and more people, I started to see things come forward. And that became the original source of inspiration, and then the driving motivation behind the book.
Okay. So, and then how did, that's like, yeah, I can't imagine, like, yeah, there are a lot of things, everything I would have said, like everything you would have said probably would have been more than the pages in this book. So when it came to sitting down with people, how did you decide? I mean, you sent out a message, or there were some people who wanted to be a part of it, up to, was it 8 people?
Well,
6?
I wanted to work that when I wound up working with a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of sessions for a lot of people that never made it into the book. And so, but my goal was to get, 8 to 10 people. I just wanted to be flexible, because working with people, honestly, Joseph, you never know what you're going to get. And so what I've come to realize is, like I could write an entirely new coaching book with what I'm doing now, because a whole new series of problems and questions have come up, but I tried to keep it organic.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's what I noticed with like how things just flowed. Like, and I guess that's how it came to the selection process. You were just looking at all the stories and then
Mm-hmm.
you just pieced them together, I imagine, right?
I did. And there was, you know, one of the people in there wasn't a coaching client at all. It was a friend who reached out and had a question. And so that chapter was, you know, I tried to think beyond my coaching sessions, and then use those things that were things I've thought about for just years, cycles maybe I got stuck in, things that revelations I've had, and bring it all together in those pages.
Okay. Well, it's really good to know. I mean, yeah, a lot of amazing stories. And I'm going to get started though. We're going to talk
Yeah,
about two chapters. We're going to get two
sure, sure,
chapters.
sure.
Yeah. And by the way, for those of you interested as well, the book is available on Amazon. Yes, I'm doing a plug right now, advertising the book. I got to say, that's how you got if you want to read it, great read.
So can I do the lead in for that particular question? I would love to ask
Yeah.
you your thoughts.
Okay. So we're going to flip the tables. Now it's
Oh,
mine. You're interviewing me.
here we go. Are you ready, Joseph?
Oh, I'm ready. I am.
Okay.
I think I'm
Okay,
ready.
so you were the inspirations for chapter 4 and 9. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What did you get out of learning about the closed loops and the small steps? This is for chapter 4.
Chapter 4. So chapter 4, find a third option, which just to preface it a little bit here for our listeners, and obviously for those who have listened already to the episode where I talk about it, I was in a job there where I was, miserable.
Mm.
And I'm not the only one who feels that. A lot of people in this world work because they need money for food on the table. And they think, okay, they're in a job that, how would I say it, satisfies them or fulfills them. I mean, in essence, it's a blind, they'd have blinders on. And I mean, I was working as a business analyst, a business systems analyst for a software company. And I was working as a fitness professional part-time. And then I realized, I knew deep down that being a fitness professional, not just a fitness professional, helping people, guiding people, leading people was, can I say, my calling, a purpose? But I was stuck in the miserable job, and I wanted to, so I was like, do I want to leave? And this is that one, option one was leave the company, or option two, or right now, option one. And I was scared. I would like, do I want to face financial burden or whatever it is, like insecurity, or do I want to stay in a company in which I'm miserable? But then you shed a light on, what if it's neither, it's not A or B, but it's option C. And I was wondering, what do you mean by that? And then, obviously before we had the pre-screening questions prior to our coaching sessions, and we looked at our values, we looked at the values, we looked at my talents, my skills. And I mentioned some, well, first of all, I had a passion for fitness. Creativity was one of my skills and values, leadership as well. And so you kind of put a spotlight on how I can utilize those in my, or not how, but pushed me in the direction. And that's what, as a coach, you did. That was phenomenal, because the next day I started looking for opportunities, or I started creating opportunities. Yes. Where I had BAs, business analysts, who are a little more junior than me. I had or at this point I had maybe 8 years of professional experience. So I was coaching these people, I was leading them, I was mentoring, I was being a leader. I was being a leader that I wanted to be, even though it wasn't a formal title. So I would unofficially go and help people and coach and reassure them that I'm with them, I'm on their team. And bit by bit, it's through coaching with you, with Ken, and with and a lot of other people at the conferences. As a fitness professional, I got all this leadership information, and even you and Ken shed some light, introduced me to John C. Maxwell. Yes. That book, Intentional Living, and it was great. And I even told my boss, hey, I did a leadership mastermind program. Can we do something? Can I do something to utilize that? And I mentored actually people who were not business analysts, who later on became business analysts.
Wow.
And I coached them, and actually one of them left the company to become a business analyst somewhere else. She messaged me to thank me because I guided her and I gave her, my experience. And that's the quality of a good coach, is pretty much the coach is someone who has been where you are. just further along down the road, and they can give you the tools and guide you in the same way they got there. And so when it came to escaping the closed loop and the small steps, when it came to escaping the closed loop, it's the why me? Why me? Why am I going through this?
Yeah.
And, so I wrote down 3 things when, in preparation for our conversation, when it came to escaping the closed loop, it's the why me. Now, why me storyline? Why is this happening to me? Why is it always me? Why am I in this situation? I'm always finding myself in a rut or, just being picked on, whatever the scenario. Then there's, what if this negative what ifs. And then the narrow mindset, just creating that, okay, I'm not thinking outside the box. This is how it is right now. And what I do separately, it's separate. And then by escaping that, but how you coached me is that, and I in this situation was how I just explained. I became a leader, a mentor to other people. I went in when there was an opportunity for wellness. They were planning a wellness month, and I jumped in. I helped them out create that wellness month where I led a boot camp once a week. And at the end of each boot camp, I shared stories. Yeah. I shared stories where, to a point where, after the stretching, I talked and I told them how, I went through depression. I still do. I'm not ashamed of saying it. Like, I have bouts of, moments where I feel depressed, for no reason whatsoever. Anger management, temper issues. And I explained that in the past. That was a problem for me when I was younger. And people would look at me like, wow, really? It's like, yeah. So
yeah,
they
you're
kind of
human.
Yeah. I explained to them, yeah, I'm a nice guy. I am. I try. That's why I like to consider myself a nice guy.
Yes.
But, I've had those moments. That's my background. Mm-hmm. And that's my journey. And that's what I left behind. That's what I use to grow from, to learn and grow from that. It's not easy. It doesn't happen overnight. But when you think about it, once again, baby steps, small steps forward. And once again, now leading into the small steps where you want that promotion right away. You want that raise. You're always looking for the big wins. You always want to, I want to be a leader. I need that management role. I need that director role, or I need to have that official title. Where no, I just helped somebody. I just made somebody who was feeling horrible that day at work. Mm-hmm. I made them feel good about themselves. I made them feel like they achieved something.
Yes.
Or taught them something new, whether it be regarding the software they were using or something about life. No, don't forget about exercise and nutrition, because they look at me, it's like, no, we don't want to exercise. We don't want to hurt ourselves. So, no, there's some people who said that, but no, honesty, they came to me for life advice at one point, even when it came to nutrition and, and fitness.
So it was the baby steps that helped you get where you were going. Like I said earlier, if you could look at your life backwards, you could see how all of those things now play into the public speaking that you've done, right? Mm-hmm. And so you could see it as like this part of your overall why, your overall purpose. Maybe you wouldn't have chosen it for yourself, just like we were talking about. But now you're utilizing the very things that was setting you up for what you do now. Yeah,
exactly. That's it. Like, look, what I consider a conference, what I do, the Project Hope webinar series, 50, 60 people, 100. I don't know how many people are watching on Facebook, but that's a lot of people. And
that's a lot of people.
And yeah, it's online. Who cares the platform, because it's still live. There's still feedback.
Everything's online right now.
Everything's online. It's COVID-19. Okay. But it led up to that. Even the smallest things, because every little step, even if you don't get it, it's still fueling the drive to go after it.
Yeah.
Totally. So when I applied to be a presenter at this year's CanFit Pro conference last year, and I remember that was the whole process to do it. And I got word, and I think it was at the end of March or end of February, where I wasn't, they didn't accept me. They thanked me. I got the email.
Yeah.
I'm not letting it stop me. It was an experience to fill it up, fill all those forms out. It gave me an opportunity to learn more about myself. But still a step forward. I still feel, okay, I'm going to continue. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to let this rejection email say, hit the brakes on what I want to do.
Yeah, it's good too, because there's so many factors that play into that. It can be the things that they had too many people talking about that same subject. Like that could be a real possibility. So you never know, if you just take a perspective of it didn't work this time, but maybe next time, because maybe it could have been this, like you think it's this, but maybe it's this.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's it. And that's why we can't create those what if scenarios.
What if killers?
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I got out of that chapter. I mean, that was an interesting one for me that made a huge impact on my professional life.
Actually, I think I've called it like the what if monster. I'm really glad that it had an impact on you professionally. Would it make sense to move to chapter 9?
Oh yeah, let's go for it. I think chapter 9 now. Chapter 9. This was an interesting one, and there's going to be a line in there that, chapter 9. Learn the art of connection. Learn the art of connection, and I talk about. I was in a company, same company. By the way, so throughout our coaching calls. This was during the time I was at this software company that laid me off back in August of 2018. I should thank them. I should seriously thank them for laying me off. And things happen for a reason. I believe in divine intervention as well. There's a plan for us. It always happens for a reason, no matter how sucky it feels.
Yeah. It happens for a reason, but like chapter 9 talks about, it's how you react to it, right? And then if it impacts your own worthiness, because your reaction looks like it impacts who you are fundamentally as a human being, then it can impact, you being that your most vulnerable, wholehearted self. So I'm curious, like, what did chapter 9 actually mean to you?
So yeah, chapter 9. So in that story I talk about how the way they worked at this company. As a business analyst, I have to write down documentation. It's pretty much documentation every day. We used software, Google Docs, which you can easily share between colleagues. And you highlight sections, lines, and write comments or questions for clarification. So that was the way they did it. Instead of sitting down for multiple meetings, because it was very quick, they wanted to belt out new features in their software really rapidly. So this was a fast approach. And also we worked with people overseas. And at one point, the way that I asked questions, I did my research, I have experience. I worked with a huge telecommunications company in Canada. And, I have all this experience, but I felt like, I didn't feel like they knew I had that experience, or they made me feel like I didn't have that experience. Oh. That was weird. When you're doing all the hard work, I laid everything out clearly, wrote down everything. And I'm like, you're supposed to write down certain things. You can't tell them because the documents I write are for the developers, are for the programmers. And you can't really, in these documents, you can't tell them, okay, it's supposed to do this, like, how would I say it? Look like this over here. And what color? Well, the color actually I was supposed to define, but how I was supposed to document the behavior. What are we trying to achieve? But then the way they were asking the questions, it felt like they wanted more and more. And I pretty much asked them, "Do you want me to develop the thing for you?" And it just got it's just weird. And it's like I was getting delayed. My deliverables were being delayed and it was just and people just want to understand, or take the time to understand, or give you the time of day, or getting an appointment with somebody, even for 5 minutes, just to talk to them and clarify. It was just painful, especially with upper management. We didn't have leaders, we had managers. And that's how I see it. Unfortunately, that company I made a lot of great connections. I have a lot of great people, a lot of great relationships coming out from that company. But at the same time, I felt where, it was just pounding me in and not making me feel valued. Or that I was skilled enough. And so that's what happened. And then unfortunately, I took that home. And where I was feeling angry, the depression kicked in further. Burnout. I probably burnt out more times than I can count in those 2 years I was there. And I remember there was one night in that story I share where I wanted to have I was anticipating planning a movie night with my daughter. So we had one at the time. I think it was one at the time. No. Chelsea was born. No. So we had two at the time. But no, we wanted to watch. I was maybe wanted to watch a new movie, like a Disney movie or whatever it is. But she was on Peppa Pig trend, if I could put it that way. I don't know if you have Peppa Pig in the U.S.
I have not turned Peppa Pig on to Sarah yet.
Okay, so you do have it there.
I think we have it. Maybe we saw it one time, but it sounds like it's super annoying. Tell me about Peppa Pig.
It's super annoying. So it's just pretty much it's the cartoon.
It could be worse than true over here. It's true, the wishing tree. So yes, tell me why she's a Peppa the Pig, if she's a she or he's he. But tell me more about what's so irritating. I'm
a Sesame Street of the good old days. It's just more of the way this character, the main character, Peppa Pig. This is a British cartoon that it's aired worldwide at this point. Kids have developed British accents worldwide because they watch this show regularly, which is fine. But it's the way the messages. Sometimes I find that the way the main character acts and treats the parents, like there's something. It's not bad, but it's questionable. And it's like they create that attitude, that so kids would pick up off of that, and they would talk and like ridicule the father or ridicule the brother or ridicule each other. I mean, there's some lessons you can get out of there.
Yeah.
But in the storyline, kids are they're sponges. Kids are sponges. They absorb everything, even if you don't realize it. Even the minute details that you take for granted, it's in the kid's mind permanently afterwards in their character. And
so I can tell this didn't go well.
No. So anyway, at one point she wanted to watch this. So instead of watching the Disney movie, which I was planning, I said, I want to watch Peppa Pig. I want to watch Peppa Pig. I lost it. And then on our phone call, I said, I asked you, when are they going to turn that pig into bacon? That's how frustrated I was. And I was like,
that's funny.
My friend, when he read that chapter of the book, he messages me later. He laughed out loud.
His children must be watching Peppa Pig too.
Yeah. Oh no, they all are. But it's you know what? But then after that, it just snowballed, and that weekend just had that undertone of like negativity. I was not feeling great, and
so it's building. It's building. So then I escape. I have my pity party, so I go to the gym. I go to the gym alone, and I didn't have a great workout. Meaning I wasn't into it. I mean, I moved, so physically I had a workout, but I wasn't fully into it mentally, emotionally, and so I but I just escaped that, and then that's me. That was me, and I learned that. We pointed this out where in the book you mentioned it where. I escape problems. I try to avoid, and it's true. I avoid conflict my whole life. That's why in school, I was known as the good boy. I didn't create any trouble because I always avoided conflict. Even the words I say, the relationships are affected because should I say that? Should I not? I mean, when you asked me to, in the beginning of the conversation that you told me in the beginning of our coaching, that I need to be wholehearted. Are you going to be wholehearted? I said, yes. That was the hardest thing to do. It is the hardest thing to do because it's easy to talk about it, and it's easy for me to hear it, but then practicing vulnerability is sometimes like peeling paint off the walls of your heart.
Yeah. And it's like, and what are they going to think of me?
Right.
And you and Ken, for example, in the beginning, it's hard, but then, we built this relationship and I managed to just be more honest, and more we're talking, we built that friendship. It's easier to open up, but that was the hardest thing. Because
you did it.
I did it. And I think, once it's done, it's like, oh, a load is off my shoulders. Oh. And but and that's what I encourage. That's why I share my story as openly as possible. To inspire others, because I think I do have I believe I have a story to share and tell that can help people through quote unquote tough times. Right. And so when we, and then you talk about, you shed some light on a few things, but what I, talking about the archetypes, where we have the vagabond, the hunter, the prey, the adventurer, the tourist, and the traveler. And I said, in the book, I said, in our recordings, in our coaching sessions, I said the first three made more sense. They hit me, and which is true. Like you had the loner, which was the vagabond, if you want to put it that way, or the hunter, which kind of it kind of resonated with the perfectionist in me. All right. And then the prey hated confrontation. That's what I like the fear of being uncomfortable. So I didn't want to confront. I didn't want to deal with it. And that's what happened. Now, if I were to fast forward 4 years later, I would say, I'm still a perfectionist. It's still, there's nothing wrong with that.
Or you could also say, reframe and say that you have a high level of excellence.
Well, I have a high standard.
Yes.
And excellence. Yeah, no, I could reframe it that way, but I'm not. And then I see the progress, because there are times where I'd focus on something until for a while, and it wouldn't work because it wouldn't fit my frame of perfection. But what if it still works? What if it still delivers the intended result? So
what if good enough is good enough?
Yeah, when it's good enough, okay. A little speck in the corner there. I missed a little paint. Okay, fine. I don't see it. Oh, it's all right, unless I'll look for it. But I'm going to say this. One thing that I can add to that, the adventurer, seeking significance. And I think over time, being in the industry, we're in, want to seek that significance to make an impact. I'm always looking to make an impact. To creating this podcast, it was a means of impacting at least one listener, one life. And so I that's what happened. Now, following that, I would fall into the adventurer. But then I realized when things don't go your way, especially when it comes to family, we have the families, we have intended things, we have projects we want to do with the family, but then the kids want to do something different. I find that you take a step back, you realize it's about being with the kids, with your children. And it's not about the show. It's not about the movie. It's just about being together. We have our weekly Saturday night movies. We have our pizza night. Since the beginning of the pandemic, every Saturday night, we have a tradition where we make 90% of the time, we make homemade pizza, and we choose a movie to watch. And sometimes the kids want to watch Aladdin 2 weeks in a row. Okay, fine. And we're like, oh, really? All right, fine. But you sit down and just enjoy it. And sometimes I don't bother looking, and I just pay attention to the kids, look at them. It's kind of creepy, but but that's what parents do. And so I realized that. So that Peppa Pig moment could have just been, hey, I'll spend time with you. And that's it, rather than being selfish. And giving myself away, like opening up and getting out of myself and being with you, or being with my daughter, at the time. So that's what I learned. And another,
I like that. The focus is off of self and it's onto others. What I really hear you saying is, because what you're talking about is being with her, is others focused.
Exactly.
I think it was the founder of, I say this in the book too, the founder of the Salvation Army, which is really popular here in the United States. I'm not sure if it's there in Canada too, but it's where people drop off, goods, and it employs people that might not otherwise get jobs. And he sent a one-word message, and it was just that: others.
Others. Think of others.
Think of others.
Yeah, and we do have that here, and that's an interesting message. Just think of others. I think we're too, and I think as well, if we're going through this pandemic, we kind of see that it's amplified further, where we think about others, but then also sometimes you kind of catch yourself or you read other comments, unfortunately, on social media, where there's like a selfishness a little bit. Like, when is the hairdresser going to open? When is this going to open? When is this? Where can we get good food? Where can we go out without the kid? Without the kids? Go out without the kids? What are you talking about? Now's the time to just grow relationships. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's nice to get away once in a while, have a date night. But right now it's the hardest time. And, it's not just hard on us. It's hard on our kids. It's hard on the little ones.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you think of others, I mean, I think you're right. It feels fulfilling.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah. And then there's another thing in that chapter that resonated. You talk about the symphony from a connected life. And I don't know, like, if it was intended. So when I shared my 5 principles of resilience, I talk about create your choir. I think this was like subconsciously in my mind, but it's true. You want to surround yourself with people who make your soul sing. All right. And that allow you to make their soul sing in return. And, it creates a beautiful thing. You create that connection and you create, amazing things.
Yeah, I think, we want to sometimes create an isolation for some of us. And what we have to realize is you can't be your most authentic self alone all the time. You have to invite others into your space, into the mix. And you have to, unfortunately, be open to feedback. And sometimes it's not always the feedback you want to hear, but sometimes it's the best thing for you. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's how we grow. Like, you ask for feedback. Yeah, it's not pretty, but it's not sometimes hard to digest. But you just take a step back and you're like, I've had it a few times where somebody would give me feedback. I would take it wrongly. Sometimes it would be via text, but then think about where the person's coming from, where the intentions lie. And then you're like, okay, it's not so bad now. And you could always ask for clarification. Call them up if it's not clear.
Right.
Any other questions about chapter 9?
I don't have any other questions. I think you did such a marvelous job in covering it and, giving sharing your experiences in your heart on the topic. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. And you know what? It was a good chapter. The whole book is amazing. I'm saying it's a great chapter, because I'm in it. No, it's a great read overall, and it had a lot of great examples. I'm not going to say I remember everything. I have to reread. It's been a few months, but this is a book where if you need to go back, you can. You don't have to read it. Or once you finish reading it one time, you can go back and read one chapter. It's easily separated, where you can read one chapter out of order.
Yeah, definitely.
So, in terms of journey, what's next for you?
That's a good question. So, there are a few things that I would really love to pursue. One of them is the thing I'm working on currently, right? Like, this is the thing, is getting to my PCC level in credentialing. It's going to be, I think, the thing that is unlocks the door to other things that I would like to do. There are 3 levels in the International Coach Federation. They all have different requirements. I'm currently an associate certified coach. And then there's professional certified coach. And then finally there's master certified coach. And the difference between them are huge, really, really huge. So I'm looking toward getting that PCC level and taking the next steps after I'm able to qualify and get that.
Oh, wow. No, I know that. I saw you post about it, and I wish you luck in that, because that's going to be awesome.
Thanks.
And you have also, we've had Project Hope Academy. We see Ken all the time, but you have a huge part in that too, as well. So that's a big initiative this year that just happened.
Yeah, it did. It was born out of a hard spot. And what I'd like to do with that is maybe do more group coaching within the Project Hope Academy.
Yeah, I'll be so down for that.
Okay, cool.
All right. I'm going to be there. I'll be the first one. But Is there another I like to call them BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals. Is there one, do you have one planned for this year?
This year is, it's just really more about I have a confidential project that I am currently working on, but it begins with getting the PCC level certification or coach credentials, not really certification. I'm certified already, but it starts there and then it's going to move and morph. I can't wait to take it to the next thing, but I am keeping it confidential for right now.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God. I can't, the suspense is killing me. Wow. Okay. So we're going to look out for that. Now I know a quick little question, rapid fire question. In our notes here, you said, okay, let's know, hope we don't do this. I'm going to be honest. One question. What nonfiction book are you reading right now?
If I told
fiction
you,
book,
I would have to kill you.
Oh.
It is totally top secret.
Okay. All right. So I'll keep it at that. I will not, we'll not say anything.
Well, it's, I literally, since the COVID crisis started, before that, I have a stack of books that's probably like, I don't know, 20 high. So I've literally just read and read and read one book after another book.
Oh, wow. So you're on a reading, you're catching up.
I am. I spent the first part of my life trying to fix myself and make myself better. I was constantly always reading self-help books. And what I finally decided was I'm not opposed to reading them. I'm just going to take some time to read some things that are fun and not do podcast. Literally the only thing I've done for like personal fulfillment and stuff like that and professional development is listen to coach training. And I've listened to like 50 hours of coach training material, or maybe more than that. And so for me, I just wanted to fill my space with some quiet when I can and some personal enjoyment. So fiction.
All right. Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, I get you. I fully understand. Sometimes you just want to like change the channel a little bit and just relax, right?
Yeah. And
Relax
I don't think and we've got a book club. So there I have it, and it's all about reading nonfiction, self-help, and business development. And I love that. I just think there's also a good time to be fulfilled and to know you're enough and to enjoy life.
That's it. I think that's good. I'm going to end that there on that note, on that positive note. So how can people connect with you?
So pretty much all things are Stephanie Weichert is one word together, STEPHANIE, WEICHERT. So it's facebook.com, / Stephanie Weichert. Instagram is Stephanie Weichert, and my website. And I would love to hear from you. And of course, Joseph would also love to hear from you. If this made an impact, please reach out through stephanieweichert.com or just send Joseph a message too. We'd love to find out how this has impacted you and what you're doing through this pandemic, this season to find joy and to be your best self.
Oh, amazing. So yeah, you hear that? You want some good coaching? Contact Stephanie. She'll help you out for sure. In the same way she's helped me. And I'm saying it from experience, and I'm saying it wholeheartedly that you will not be disappointed. Stephanie, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time.